Ligia, Mariana, thank you so much for joining us today. Someone who just clicked wants to know how they can transition from a corporate job, even if that corporate job is going well, to becoming independent, to becoming an entrepreneur. So I want to first start with why should they listen to you two? If you can briefly each go through your backgrounds of what your corporate experience looked like in the past and where you are today. So we'll start with Ligia.
Oh, first of all, it's an honor being here. And well, I used to be a tech executive as A side of my life and university professor in B side of my life. I used to run all around, single and working hard and kind of just career-oriented woman, young woman from the 20s to the 30-ish. And on that perspective, I was very happy, very successful. I went through a big tech company, then go there in LinkedIn and check which was the company. But basically, it took me to the world. I got the global mindset and all the exchange we can do in this kind of company. But close to the 40s, I had it all. I love the company. I love my job. I love the career, but I was still missing something inside. At that moment, a burnout came to me, but it's just a consequence of just listen one part of who I was. And through a sabbatical process, I started to see what is really important. And in that moment, and still today, integration is important for me. So I started to integrate in all those Ligias, the professor Ligia, the executive Ligia, the tech woman, the one who loves to develop people and new human and talents. And then my company came up. So
That's
I think
awesome.
we can talk more about my company in
Absolutely.
the rest of the conversation. But something was missing inside.
I think just because I'm passionate about highlighting people's achievements, and we will never do justice to most people. But in your case, I think you were extra modest and extra humble about that background. So it was 10 years,
15 years.
15 years. And I think we're good to say the company name. We're not going to say.
Yeah, because it's an amazing company.
Yes. So you were with IBM,
Yes.
Latin America.
Yes, like global.
Global,
Yeah.
but you covered.
Yeah, I cover like for part of my journey. I was in the headquarters in New York, developing my career and working in projects in there and India, and my master degrees in China.
Wow. Okay.
I went all around.
That's quite a bit to skip.
Yeah, I did some part of my research testing because after in master and PhD you have a research and then you go around the planet trying to test the research. I was in Wuhan, 2011. Before Wuhan
Yeah.
got to be Wuhan for
Okay.
everyone in China, it's a universitarian city, a big city, all about research and university. So it was an amazing moment there.
Okay, I think that's much more context to the viewers in terms of what you've achieved.
Yeah.
And then we go to Mariana. Can you give us a little bit of a brief on your background as well?
Yeah, so like Ligia, I'm from Brazil. I've worked in corporate for 20 years. Mohammed started in the countryside of São Paulo state. And I've worked for big corporates like IBM and TikTok. For about 15 years, I've been doing what my passion is, which is educating people in corporate environment. So I'm from sales enablement and learning development background, and always try to bring business, people, and education together. And this is my background. And I just left corporate to take a different and a bold move of my life.
So there's a congratulations on that. And you ladies are too humble, right? And I love the humility, but it's just people when they listen, I want to make sure they get the magnitude of who we have with us. So again, let's kind of go through this process of a lot of people aim to do really well in corporate and they see that as the ultimate success, right? Climbing up that ladder, earning the salary and earning the title. When both of you did that, you decided now it's time to change. And it's not like you're towards the end of your career, so maybe you have a year or two left of your working life. No, I mean, you're in perfect health and you're exploring new avenues to contribute to society every day. So, Ligia, can you zoom in a little bit more on, you felt something was missing, but how did that feel day to day while you were showing up to your corporate position, going to work? What did that look like? What did that feel like? And why did you feel like leaving is the decision? Why is it not maybe transitioning to a different job or to a different company?
That's a great question. I did the transition because I was like almost 15 years in a big company, single company, and I thought like, oh, maybe I used to be like a marketing, advertising, communication executive, big company, all the traditional, all the process. Said, okay, so startup world would be a solution for my emptiness inside. And so I left in 2016 and I went to a startup from Los Angeles, bringing the whole operation to Latin America, which was a digital transformation startup in that moment with very nice process and agile teams and all those things that startup does. And after 2 years, I saw that it was way easier doing back in 2016 digital transformation inside, being an insider, like knowing everyone and every single part of the process that you should hack, than being an outsider consultant, try to find the legions inside the companies to push a digital transformation that back there was starting around the planet. So I saw that I learned a lot from an agile environment, a design thinking process team, but it was more about my identity. I was really fragmented. And it is happening a lot with women executives. When they reach around 40s, we delivered what our mothers, family, and people used to say, what's successful? You should be independent, financially independent. You should go after the whatever man's position used to be. Our mothers did not get that. We did. But we did. We got the financial independent, the executive positions, the leadership respect. I got it all. But there's more in this journey. And I think most part of the executives I work nowadays, they are women, like C-level women in big companies. Not all of them is going to leave, but they need to understand how integrated a very specific archetype, which is the feminine archetype. It's not about just women gender. It's about getting to the top with the correct possibility of being us. Because like a business environment is still male-oriented, like rational, outside, goals, and objective, and next quarter start all over again. These machines are being created alike to those. So looking back, I see that I needed more the female integration, like what we call today in my lines of research, feminine intelligence. But I can talk a little bit more.
Sure. Just to challenge you on that point, you've gone through that experience of realizing that you need to transition, and now you work with a lot of executives and women executives. Can you spot someone who, as a woman executive today, is doing phenomenally in their job, but you can look at them and say, I feel like in a year and a half, 2 years, she will want to transition. Can you see this pattern?
Yes, usually around 35 starts, because I used to work with a picture in view with Centennial. It's like every 7 years you change completely, not just your body cells. You are a new person, not every year in your birthday. You are a new person, like biologically, average 7 years. Like organs has different way to renew themselves, but basically there is a sociological methodology that brings people new different view of life every 7 years. So 35, it's ending what we call a centennial, which brings a value, amount of culture, approach. Around that age, it's a pattern, it's a standard. You start to, it's the moment that you did the whole professional successful in the job career, but you started to need to integrate your different selves that usually it's hidden. So if you're a mother, motherhood. If you're a partner, partnerhood. If you do some hobbies, like maybe you're a great executive, but you sing. you cook, you are a runner, or you are an athlete, or whatever you are in the secondary identities, is starting to calling out as an integration. Women are, how could I say, more likely to self-development and go through therapies, psychological therapies to get to know themselves than men. Is also cultural around the planet. So because we go after this inside, these inner identities, around 35 started the need of integration. So sometimes you just got like kids around needing more your attention. Sometimes you have all those hobbies that maybe could be a business. Sometimes is just a inner voice. You have all. That was, I'm picturing the emptiness. I had it all. I could not name by the age of 35 when it started to me. I name it something is missing inside, a kind of soul calling. And if we go through mentoring leaders, specifically women's on those age, you're gonna see that calling inside. Based on, I need to integrate whomever I am with these other identities.
I remember when we spoke earlier, you referred to it as purpose,
Yes.
right? It's a big question to fill. A lot of people go through life through this mundane process without actually filling it or finding that true purpose. What's an actionable way for viewers listening or an exercise they can perform as they're watching or listening for them to move closer to their true purpose or to find out what that is? What are some metrics or questions they can ask themselves?
Yeah, I think they should start and listen their heart. You know, like there is nobody say I am. Put the hand in your forehead. Okay, I am. No. You always say I am Ligia. I am Mohammed. I am Mariana. So here there is an intelligence. This is science. Okay, you have three brains. You have your own brain in your head. You have neurons in your heart, and you have neurons in your stomach. So you have intelligence in your body. So usually the first question is, what my heart feels happy doing? Usually that's why I'm picturing the hobbies. Usually what do you do outside your work and makes you happy? Probably it's a good signal to go after.
So these are the hobbies.
Yes, starting with the hobbies, starting with the topics that really gets your heart, mind, and soul. And probably you can find a business there if you go through the right path.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And Mariana, what about in your case? What was the purpose behind pivoting your career and deciding to do something on your own?
Mohammed, I love listening to Ligia because she's the researcher and I'm the business person. But whatever she says, I feel that's why we are coming together. So she mentioned that every 7 years, people, as per research, traditionally changes, right? This started happening to me as well. I was very successful in my career, working globally and doing what I love doing and enabling people and moving from countries to countries and traveling around to bring methodologies. And but there was something triggered by personal situations as well with my family that triggered me to start taking care of myself differently and start paying attention on the value of my time. And this happened more or less 7 years ago. And since then, I, inspired by Ligia because I did her future of certification that time, how things coincidentally happen. Where do I really want to spend my time with? How do I really want to do what I really want to do with my knowledge? And then those internal questions started being bigger. And of course, you don't take big, bold moves as a sudden. It's an internal process of development. And a lot of things happen professional-wise and personal-wise that trigger me to my aha moment to say, what's next for me? And coincidentally or not, my company is called WhatsNxt because I asked myself internally where I can bring value, what can I do different for society? And I think the work that Ligia and I have been doing together is toward that, to bring people this thinking. How can you really prepare yourself for the future?
Your next best version. I
Yeah.
think that's what's next. You need to bring your new human next better version. And while like Mariana was speaking, I think it's good to picture three things. When I'm talking about integration, all the research go through it's a map of consciousness. Okay, every single person in an ordinary journey of success goes through survival mode as a baby, growing up, 21, 25, you got your maturity. Actually, 25. Brain wising, 25, you are matured. So how old are you?
26.
You just got
Yes.
1 year of your maturity
Just
officially.
matured, yes.
Yeah, it's like it's neurologically talking. So after that, you start going the topics of integration, and you go successfully. Business, goals, money, check, check, check. After that, money and privilege bring you to this material success. After that, you need to do exercise inside yourself, expanding your consciousness and expanding your self-knowledge. And this goes through many tools today. As many apps we have nowadays, it's equal amount of techniques that helps you as a human being to develop your purpose, your vision, your inner self-knowledge, from traditional psychological therapist to all those integration we have nowadays. That's the beauty of this time. And in the last 10 years, that brought us like mobile people and data and thoughts transmission, because that's what we do in WhatsApp. You have a thought, then you send your thought in 3 clicks. And connecting all around, all these applications and startup that happens to happen in the last 10 years is the same moment that we are seeing the planet, all the human rise. Like diversity, like all this purpose, what is really inside of people's minds and heart is the same window of time. It's because technology dance, whatever you develop you back. So when you talk about archetypes, like feminine archetypes, masculine archetypes, the masculine, the objective, the business, the command and control, this is given. You're born and you are led to this. You are taught in educational system through act outside. The feminine intelligence for every single human being, I'm not talking about gender. It's going to be something that you developed. When you go to develop your inner intelligence, you are developing a feminine archetype, which is, by the way, the right side of your brain. Left side, masculine archetype, artificial intelligence being oriented to that, we are going to lose. Right side of the brain, feminine archetype, which is creativity, the real one, not a mix and reference like GPT. Then you have sensorial part, right side of the brain, feminine archetype. Artistic, intuition. Then you see a broader view of reality. This kind of things is going to make us more human. And we are not competing with machines anymore. That's the central of our intention here, of the research we are bringing to the region. Because I see here, it's like Middle East, the Emirate, it's all about like technology. You have the best infrastructure of the planet. This is world class. I cannot find this in my country. But definitely, we can have a very good conversation how to add this consciousness as innovation too. Because technology is going to bring innovation, that's for sure. But when you expand your consciousness, you definitely bring this innovation, because expanded consciousness people demanding different kind of work, different kind of consumption, different kind of leadership. We are not more in command and control. We are more into connection that expand people. You are this kind of people. You are this kind of people. That's why
All
we
of
do
our
not,
viewers are the
yeah, that's why we're not accepting this anymore.
Yeah, a lot of people are asking themselves if they're on the right track, if they're fulfilling their purpose, if how they can protect themselves from being replaced by technologies. And a lot of the times, pursuing their purpose seems like a risk or a jump they have to make. You mentioned the key age, which is 35. And many people at 35 are either in a committed relationship or have responsibilities such as children, or now they're the main caretaker of their parents or one of their parents. So it feels like a scary jump, right?
Good question.
And
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I just want to add to that. It's important to acknowledge that we have different purpose throughout our lives.
Yeah.
So don't get
Yes.
scared if you are listening to this podcast and you are still in 20s. You have your purpose now.
Yes.
So the important is the movement of looking inside and say what brings you energy when you wake up.
And the purpose
Awesome.
evolves.
The purpose evolves. I
Yeah.
myself have got several purposes. Of course, nowadays I have more maturity to understand that what drove me in the past was purpose, not excitement, feeling, or whatever. But this is the important one. To look at inside, spend some time to looking inside. We don't have time to think, stop, reflect, and move on. We don't do at any age because
world is
things are
very quick.
the world is moving so fast. And what I learned is that is really powerful, despite your age, your industry, your career path. It's important to stop, reflect, to move on. Purpose is aligned to this reflection. If you have time to do that, you find yours.
This is brilliant, Mariana. Again, to the Centennial, I think this is a new concept to most of the people. And from 0 to 7 is the Centennial that it's more oriented to the word is good. All the little ones needs to be just giving the opportunity to know that the word is good.
The world is good.
Yeah, from 7 to 14, it's more about the word is beauty. You need to expose those young minds and hearts to the beauty of the world, protecting from the ugliness. They don't have brain maturity to that. From 14 to 21, the world is theirs, is ours. So you're going to bring the good from the first Centennial, which is pretty much a mother archetypally, to the word is beauty, father archetypally, to mother and father, good and beauty, together, you are going to go to the world and facing the reality. So 14 to 21 is the challenge moment. You're going to challenge your parents. You're going to challenge the reality. You're going to see that everything it's part of building up identity. 21, 25, you got maturity. Then you go after. 21, let's keep in the setting. 21 to 28, purpose is more oriented to get experience to the world. Like you did not have chance to move from your family and your school friends up to now. Go to the world. You are in the Centennial. Test everything that's possible. Purpose, it's not that clear yet because you need to have experience. Go and leave. Great, like big companies are a great environment to that because you see all those complexity all around. I used to say, go after companies because you're still testing. Then stay there the amount of time you think is necessary for you prove yourself internally. Then go to the next. And then 28 to 35, that's the Centennial you are, like checking what is for you because you have 7 years of experience. 35 to 42, you go after your identity. So your purpose is more connecting those identities. That's why 35 is so important. 42 to 49, that's my Centennial, I'm 46. It's all about living what is true for you because you tested a lot. After 49, you go as deeper as you can, or you go as wider because it's more about wider than deep and high. Expanded consciousness, inner developed person is not about who is higher, it's about who is wider. Probably your consciousness, the way you see life, fits more people, fits more reality. So purpose for me nowadays is completely different from the young Ligia starting in the business world. But all this path brought me to now. And it's all about your new version. That's why from the book you have, besides of you, it's futures. Futures is like, I picture in my research new technologies. I always do, because if you don't work with technology, probably you have a lot of fears around it. But I also picture the new humans. Who are them?
I think there's a lot to dive into, but I'll be selective just in interest of time. when someone along the timeline that you just shared discovers that they have a new purpose or a purpose that has evolved, what we see from our surroundings is that this purpose often takes shape in the form of a business venture or an entrepreneurial venture.
Yes.
And that, so pivoting to a new purpose is scary, but pivoting to a business on your own, and probably the first business you've ever run, is even 10 times scarier. Let's go through some practical step-by-step of how do we transition in a way that doesn't necessarily make it safer, because risks are there, but makes it so that people know that they're on the right track at least. So what does it look like?
I can give the pattern of my studies, and Mariana goes to the real reality.
Please, yeah, let's do it.
Usually what I oriented the persons that I mentor, the teams or whatever, we have maps. The name of the methodology is maps, scenarios, and education. We need maps. We don't jump for the best technology or the best human oriented. So usually with the maps, you need to have plans. Usually it's financially oriented because you need to have background. In my case, and in many cases, when you are older, probably you have savings. And the saving gave me the chance for a sabbatical. We call sabbatical in the business world, but actually is a trial moment, a pilot moment, that I took the movement, the project called Voicers, which is my company today, and I tested without the push, the pressure to make money in the month number 1.
Because you have the savings.
I have the savings. So that's one way to go. If you have enough, I have 2 years savings. So I could stay 2 years without working to pilot whatever I had in my mind, in my projects. The other way to go, it's a plan B. If you don't have the savings, you can start it testing your idea as a plan B. After working times, weekends, go testing the idea. Grow in parallel with the career that brings the big money. And by the moment you feel, because it's all about being safe. If you have fear, it's gonna be complicated. So make strategies, we can help with that, to give you a minimum safety mode, or a saving account, or a parallel B plan. Test. If you see like, oh, we have market, people is hiring me, it's buying my product, my service, whatever it is, then you can make a bold movement.
And transition.
It's not just like, oh, let's see if it works. Probably it's going to have problems. You need to have a strategy. You need to have a map, a plan.
In my case, Mohammed, I decided to definitely go for A situation and not B situation, simply because this is how I am. I would never be able to build something different as I'm aiming and I'm doing so within an organization, because when I left corporate, I was working 24/7. I didn't have time, bandwidth, and internal space to focus on 2 completely different things. And I really love what I was doing before. So I will never forget my last week at the office. I organized a very interesting training. I said, this will be my best training ever. Because this is, like whoever works with me know that I like put passion on things that I do. So I went for a plan B. So I organized myself financially, and I start testing. I start testing, going to the market, going to events, going to the industry, talking to people. I knew upskilling industry inside out, different countries globally, corporate, but I still lacked that time knowing what people needed. So I started going deep on events and networking sessions and just asking, what do you need? What is lacking? And I did my path using Agile. You know that I'm an Agile mindset and framework lover. I literally built a plan. What is my purpose? Where I want to be in 1 year? What are my goals? How will I get there? Every 2 weeks, stop, reflect, build. Look at myself. So I ended up developing an Agile framework with myself. I've never done that before. I used to help people to do that.
Awesome.
But I said, this is so powerful. Let me do. So every 2 weeks, after I left corporate and start transitioning to this new world, build, reflect, celebrate.
To give yourself credit.
To give myself credit. And I used to go for coffee By myself, I used to go to events, places that really brought me that extra energy. Okay, things are not perfect, but I will move on. Because as Agile says, more important than seeking for perfection is continuous improvement.
That's awesome.
Question on the market feedback, because I think this is a step that many people skip over. You know, we have all the plans, but we think that the initial idea is just the best idea ever. When you were doing this market research by going to the events, networking, and asking people what they need, did you realize that your initial idea went through some sort of change based on the feedback? What did that look like when you were asking people?
The roots are there. I got right. The need of what the baseline of my company provides is the same. But it changed because you come traditionally, and then Ligia, I'm sure she will add to that, when you come to a real experiment market research, you come with your biased approach, with some preconceptions. And then by listening to people, understanding the reality, you understand that not necessarily what was right for you is what will work. So it changed, for sure. It's changing, and it will change. What's next is perfect? Of course not. Did I get right and successful company? I'm just in the beginning. So the future will show us what will happen. But more important than seeking for the success is to seeking for the improvement and continuous learning. At least this is my vision.
I have a question then based on that for Ligia, which is, if someone follows either plan A or plan B, so plan A where there's savings and then plan B where you're doing it on the side, and the outcome is my company hasn't yet taken off to the extent where I can fully depend on this and live on this. So a lot of people could frame it as a failure. How should they react at that point?
Well, I think the first point when you're feeling the failure is reassess. Like there are frameworks like Agile and see why is failing. If it's definitely failing, you are not gonna make a life or financial incomes from this business. Probably, you need to reassess with some experts around you. Probably you have blind spots you are not checking. Maybe it's just marketing, maybe it's just the product or the service. Sometimes, like the self-entrepreneurs doesn't have money to that. So go after. There are a lot of people that wants to help when you are a small entrepreneurs. It's different when you are a big company. I remember that. Everyone that comes to me, it's a business. They saw me like a pocket. So I used to pay for every single access. When you are a small entrepreneur or a medium company, still medium is like this. People are willing to help. They want you to succeed. Sometimes you have someone more matured in marketing, more mature in financial, more mature in HR, and they are gonna give you free access in order to your best version, your proposal, and your idea come to world. And most of the business, after doing this homework, they're gonna succeed. You know, like I saw many people afraid of not making money, but after usually 2 years, 2 to 5, right? You need to grow up a business, you need to have an identity, you need to do marketing. If you are someone that your personal name is important, you need to do content like my company. I am the name of the research. I am the researcher behind the product and the service. So I need to help people get access to me freely. So every single research, podcast, videos, I'm here in Dubai this week. I take a time to take people with me through a content journey. From Reels on Instagram to after content that I'm gonna launch based on what I learned here. Because learning and content is my business. So what is your business? You need to give access for free, and people will give access for free too, because they want to see that. Struggling beyond that, so it's going to be case in case, but chances are you are not doing the basics correctly.
Recently, I came across to a super interesting thought. What kind of business do you want to have? Do you want to have and this quote is not from me, but I found brilliant. Do you want to have a lifestyle boutique company? Or do you want to have a global, international, multi-million company? What kind of business do you want to have? And then build your path toward. Ask yourself a question. What kind of business do you want to have? A multi-billion business, global? Or a lifestyle boutique business? And it's okay. But it's important to stay true to what you really want. And then you build your path toward it.
I think this is a great point. I've seen and I've met individuals who are very successful, and I would, as a young, ambitious guy, I would tell them, I mean, but you can scale the business here, and you can open there, and you can, and they would tell me, but that's not my goal. That's not my objective.
Exactly.
The business as it is can become much larger, can generate X amount of millions or billions, whatever it is. But I don't want that, because now it's giving me the luxury of operating almost on autopilot, generating consistent income monthly, and I don't have to worry about it. But if I want to scale to what you're suggesting, then I have to put infinite more effort and hire more people and be responsible about more regions, and that's just not a headache I want to deal with. Other people are like, oh, absolutely. Where can I expand? Let me know. Just point here. Introduce me to this person, that person. So it's just, as you said, it's a very objective and purpose-driven question.
Yeah.
On this point, and both of your answers hinted at this, I would love to hear the role of people in the journey of transitioning, whether people within the organization that you're starting your own startup, or mentor figures, friends, or even the community. How important is this for individuals taking this leap?
It's completely important. I think in my whole career, from the young Leisure in 20s up to now, the mentors plays a lot in this path. Inside IBM, I used to, more than managers or leaders, I used to picture and get inspired by some professionals that were not like in my line of chain, hierarchical line of command. And usually those guys and girls, I come to, I said, oh, we have internal mentor program. And even if it was like not officially from the company, I said, you inspire me. Would you give me 4 section, like coffee, like you like to do? Because there's something new that I want to. Maybe it could be a whole career. I want your career one day, And these were my really big mentor. She was the one who brought me to New York headquarters. She was a Brazilian that moved to IBM headquarters. It's very hard to be. Like Armonk headquarters with the headquarters. It's very difficult to be there because it's like 300 people, very selected from 400,000 people.
Wow.
It's a lot in that moment. So 2012, I just said, you're a Brazilian. You did this path. Whatever you did, inspire me. I want to that. It took me 3 years. A huge strategy, like skill development, area development. I moved from one area to the other. And by the moment her boss was in Brazil for a big event in Rio, she said, you're gonna say this. At that level of thing. Under the Christ the Redeemer, we had a dinner. And during that dinner, I said the sentence. And immediately that vice president said, I'm looking for a young marketing around the planet. I have a year of program inside Armonk, New York, working with me and with your mentor.
Wow.
Would like to come? And I saw the power of two. Like and up today, in a more broader vision, if you have a value, if you have a characteristic that I admire, I want to be around you a little. I want to learn from you, and that's really powerful. The power of two is way more powerful than the power of a big strategy company and whatever. And because the person knows the path, and there is an emotional link. It's like she was my mother. And when I was a mentor, it's like they are my kids, So my mentee, so I give my whole access, the whole powerful I have
See them
to
succeed.
help those professional kids. This is beautiful.
I love this perspective. Actually, on a similar note, what I used to do back at TikTok is because it was a young company and it would constantly go through different structural changes. So we would have managers from different regions stepping in momentarily to help the region proceed while the right person from the region would come in. Anyway, I found out that many of the managers that would be from other regions and who would step in temporarily were very inspirational figures. I loved the way they would speak and the decisions and their vision, and that they were able to create such a large impact in such a small period of time and with a team that they've never worked with before. And so one day I got this thought. I saw one of the leaders saying, guys, good news and bad news. The good news is there's now going to be a permanent new manager. Very excited to introduce him or her. But the bad news is I will be stepping away from the region and continuing to work with the regions that I used to work with. I remember reading that message and saying, oh, I'm gonna miss him or her. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go and just directly message them on our internal messaging platform, which is something I haven't heard anyone else on my team do. So I would go and message them and say, hey, you've probably never heard of me. I'm many layers below you. But I'm a big fan of how you do X, Y, and Z. I try to be specific, not flattering. And honestly, even though we've never worked directly together, I will miss your impact on the team. So
Beautiful.
if it's okay with you, at a time of your convenience, I'd really appreciate if we can get 30, 40 minutes of one-on-one time. I just want to get your thoughts on career progression, on how can I do things differently? What can I do at this young age to set myself up for success? I was surprised that this request, and I did it more than once with different managers, was always met with a yes.
Yeah, like that 30 minutes
And it's great.
would never, it's pretty hard to come with a no. And
Yes.
you did something very important because as higher as you go, you get more solitary.
Yes.
People doesn't give feedback for the hires,
Yeah.
you know? And usually 10%, we were talking today in the car, like even nowadays with my work, 10% of the audience come back to me and say, wow, Ligia, you touched me in this here, like you did. 10% come back from every audience I go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is so important to us. So we are not alone. You are at the other side. So please let us know here, please, comments and come to here, to YouTube, to Instagram. Let us know what touched you from this conversation. What changed it?
Sorry,
Yeah.
Mara, just on this point, and because of their wisdom and experience, they're able to, I swear to God, there's this one gentleman, he said, he called me. So I told him at a time of your convenience, he said, okay, sure, I'll give you a call when I'm free. And I didn't know whether that was like on the same day, on a different day. So on the same day, around 6 p.m. our time, so towards the end of the working day, I get a call. I dropped everything and I picked up. And I said, hey, how's it going? And he said, good. Listen, I don't know how much time I have. I had a meeting canceled in 30 minutes, but there could be another one that takes place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep talking. Okay, interrupt me if you have a question, but I'm going to keep going until I get called into another meeting. As soon as I get called into another meeting, I'm leaving. I said, works for me. Yeah. And he was just, I swear to God, he started talking. And at first I was listening. And then 2 minutes into it, I'm like, 5 seconds, just give me 5 seconds. I need to get a notebook. And he's like, quick. So I got a notebook and I'm scribbling notes. It was incredible. And then 42 minutes later, so it wasn't 30, it wasn't 45, it wasn't an hour. 42 minutes later, he's like, I gotta go. Thank you so much. He's like, thank you so much. Bye-bye. Hang up. And I was like, I feel like I'm out of breath. It was almost like a race just to keep up with everything he was saying. And it was all spot on. He worked with Facebook back when it was just Mark Zuckerberg and 4 or 5 other guys. And he did this and he did that. And he was sharing the experiences from different points in his career. And I was looking at my notes. I said, maybe I could sell this. It's so valuable. And then just to wrap it all up, went back to the chat and I said, I can't express how valuable this was. And I appreciate your time and your flexibility. I'd love for us to stay in touch. So if there's anything because he was also leaving the entire organization. So I said, if there's any way I could reach out to you, maybe LinkedIn or email, I'd love to. And he said, A, here's my personal email. B, here's my personal phone number. Feel free to reach out whenever. And I was just shocked because at that point, I haven't done anything major in the organization for him to trust me. I said, thank you so much.
And that's another way to step up from the crowd, right? That guy probably going to remind, names I don't know, but he's going to remember that moment. You're always going to be one out of the crowd. Yeah. That's the power of the mentors.
And I just want to highlight the importance of understanding the signs and listening your heart. There is an interesting story from my side as well. Ginny Romeri was IBM global leader in the past. She was coming to Dubai for a town hall with employees. And then the PR team asked for questions. And I sent my question. Ginny Romeri, what are the skills needed to accomplish your vision? That was my simple question.
To the number one at IBM.
To the number one at IBM. I said, if my question is selected, select.
Okay, if not...
Then my question was selected. The PR team, Mariana, your question was selected. You will ask to Ginny in front of all IBM in the region employees. I said, okay. And then I was going back home with a friend. And I said, Martin, you can imagine my question was selected. And then he asked me, but what would you respond if someone asked you this question? And then I said, oh, that's a very good question. I would say this. Okay. Then in front of Ginny, hi, Ginny, my name is Mariana. I'd like to know what are the skills needed for accomplishing your vision and mission? Mariana, this is a very good question. What are your thoughts? In front of everyone. And then I replied, I'm so happy that I knew you could ask me this question, and I rehearsed it, and this is what I think that is needed.
Life's beautiful.
And then everyone, I was in front of a role model for me, but something told me that I should be prepared for that moment, and
That's great
thank God I did. So it's important to not only understand the environment. Ligia said something last week in one of our sessions that I love it. When you get into a room, listen to your heart. If someone sparks something on you, go back to that person. There is something, there is a mission, there is a story, there is a lesson that you need to get from that company. And just turn. You don't know the answer, but follow your gut feelings. Gut feelings. Something is happening.
And this is science, people. It's more than just beautiful and romantic. You have, again, remember the 3 brains? You can feel people. When you arrive in a room or in a project or in an event, networking, just don't go spreading cards around. This doesn't work.
I love this.
Yeah. So, just go, give a moment to feel in your body. Your body's like the dream of artificial intelligence is have your brain. Like the dream of a robot is have your articulations, your body. So there is a technology, a human technology inside of you. So you arrive in a place. If you feel something with your stomach, that's a very interesting because it's the gut feelings. It's different of intuition. So guts, it processes your fears, something it's can attack you. It's historical in human society. So you get to a place or to a person and feel it with your stomach, just stop and think about it for a moment. If you arrive in a place or a person and you feel it with your heart and your mind, just go. Because here probably you're going to be expanded knowledge, information, consciousness, whatever comes to here. And if you come to here, you're probably going to have a very interesting bound situation going beyond knowledge. So here and here, just go. Here, just pay attention and listen to the sign. That is the archetype, the right side of the brain. Sensorial, intuitive, listen to life, listen to synchronicity, signals. This is intelligence. But those are intelligence that we did not learn in school. And we did not learn in our mentor, company-oriented programs. This you learn if you go through inner process.
And I have an interesting story about that between me and Ligia. We've been working together for many years. I also worked for IBM, but we were not that close that time. 2 years ago, I was in my home and then I saw certification of the future. What is that? Okay, I'll go for it. Let me go for it. And then I did the certification with her, 2 months, super mind blowing. But that's it. I was here, Dubai, back to my life, corporate. She was there with her research. But I started following her podcasts and research and so on. So I was last year in Brazil, and I organized a session between Ligia and the TikTok employees. We didn't talk. I was there just to introduce. She just gave to me a necklace. She will explain the necklace much better than I'll leave to her.
Yeah.
I left. 6 months later, I was in Brazil again. Mariana, come to speak on my podcast. What? Yes, come to speak on my podcast. Fast forwarding, we are here launching a business together. The signs.
And I did not know. I always felt connected after because during our career, we were in different areas. We were friends, but more a colleague than a friend. We did not have any intimacy. Then we got pregnant during pandemic together. That was the reconnection. We were like pandemic mothers. Our son and daughter, I think 2 or 3 weeks difference. And from there, we started that digital connection as mothers who were like through a pandemic situation. Then 2 years ago, this. And after that, I said, my heart says, it's heart, it's not mind. My heart says there's something there. I did not know what. It took me like more than 2 years to understand what was that. So when in Brazil I gave a necklace, it was an Egyptian. Part of my studies doesn't go only to new technologies and new humans, but also to the ancient. I have a podcast called Origins. I have been visiting more pyramids than shopping malls around the planet. So I love those ancient civilizations, the technology they had, all that, last time, and survival the time. And then it was an Egyptian. It was a kind of pillar like this, an Egyptian culture. It says every time you receive that pillar, you are going to be amplifier. Your voice needs to be amplifier. And it's a perfect copy from the Egyptian museum. I had a friend who is authorized to make copies. So I gave to her. Mariana, the intuition was, take the collar, the necklace with you, and just take. I had many meetings. I did not know who I was given to. After the TikTok meeting, they said, Mariana, I think you were the person. I don't know why. You need to amplify your voice. Maybe in TikTok. I don't know. Just take and put in your bag. Sometimes if you need, put in your close to your heart. And then next year she come back and I recorded a podcast with her about origins. I really want her to talk about the turning point moment. Usually there is a turning point. Usually there is something struggling outside. In the case, she had a situation with father and mother passing away. I want to picture that. People want to understand what's the power that comes from struggling moment. Usually you don't have the courage to go through your fears while you are there in a beautiful career. Usually when a divorce comes, or when an illness comes, or when a death moment in the family comes, shakes you outside in. Then you are so there lost. Your ego is so unprotected that you have, it's not even the courage. You go with the flow. So I'm so here, I don't know what to do. Maybe now it's time to try something new. Then you start a therapy, then you start a movement through your business. And I want Mariana to picture that moment to inspire my audience. Mariana, why people used to say this is a very bad moment, and you have a positive vision of this to you, to people, and to your life. And here we are, like 6 months after she has a company and said, Alicia, whatever you were doing there is a space here in Middle East I think people should listen to.
And Mohammed, why I was designing my company, upskilling people, right? You asked me earlier about, did you get right perfectly in the beginning? No. Initially, I thought, well, it's missing strategic view to upskilling program, so I will be focused on the strategy. okay, but I also like helping people to work better together with Agile. So we will also add Agile to my framework. I also understand the power of upskilling people, not only with training, but with people, right? So I have the advisory board component, but there is something missing. And then I said, one day we were talking, I went to Dubai Future Forum here last year, was with 1,000 futurists globally. 1 week deep dive, I called Ligia, said, Ligia, listen, there is a space for you here. So it's upskilling from strategy to future. She comes to close the loop.
I love it. Just as we wrap up, we have a few minutes left. We spoke about many things, but one of them is the evolution of realizing that the corporate career is not the right place for you anymore. Transitioning into your own endeavor, the power of people, the power of using your purpose to fuel you. And we came to a crossroads where someone would have to decide what type of business they want and if they want to scale it or not. However, some people reach a plateau, which is they want to scale it, they want to grow it, but they can't. They're stuck. And I think this is a big part of where both of you interfere to help find what's next, right?
What's next? What's the map to the future
Exactly.
in plural?
So in a few words or sentences, what does that look like? So what do both of you do once you step into an organization or speak with entrepreneurs? What's the type of work that you do with them?
I started then Mariana goes because I'm a part of the other pillars. So I truly believe that the futures is in plural, in parentheses, because all the future comes in layers. Sometimes people has this, orientation to live in the future. You go and your mindset is there. You're always searching for future scenarios, even if you don't work like me with this. So bring back to reality and help others. Those people, if you are not part of those futuristic souls, you need to find them. Like if you're stuck in your business, you need to find what's the next step in different perspective, not just the obvious thing. Obvious thing you can go around, probably but you need to go beyond. And to go beyond, you need to find different people and different situations because the present of you, it's going to be the future of many. So usually you need to go to the bold reference in your area and ask him what is in their thoughts, not what is in the guidebook, the books, or whatever they are already doing. Try to find that sparkling that is not yet there. Probably it's going to be a good reference for, stuck company moments. And put yourself in different situations. Go and do completely crazy different things, meeting completely different people, because probably if you are stuck, you know how to do the business and you still doesn't have the answer, you're getting a plateau of presence in past. You need more future into your environmental. And this comes with future minds. This comes with diversity experience. Go after it, and probably you'll come back with different references, and this is turning into service, business, process, products.
Awesome.
Yeah, in my case, I am a business person with agile mindset and future scenarios outlook.
Yeah.
So I go to companies and people and organizations and first ask, where is your business going? What does success look like for you? How is your team organized? Who are you? I spend time understanding strategically where the person is and the company is and where they want to be to proactively propose the next step, which can be completely different. And I found an issue here because we've got a lot of excellent training providers, which is super needed, but making the bridge between the business and the solution is a different story. And this is what I've done in my entire life between Brazil, IBM, TikTok. So as per what I identified that is the next step, then the solutions come. Can be partnership with upskilling programs and companies, can be building advisory boards with to bring external expertise, because again, sometimes you don't need training, you need experts and insights to help you accelerate your decision. sometimes you just need to work better with your team. Then the agile framework comes. And if I identify that the future scenarios mindset is there, then I bring Ligia along because she's the expert. And then
I think we can, in a practical way, you can deliver through lectures, workshops, innovation labs, and everything that comes to you, and you need a map. The next, usually 10 to 10 years reference. What is the next 10 years of inspiration and your next 2 years of work? Okay? From technology, new humans, new ecosystems, then you can help you with your maps.
That's incredible. Ladies, thank you so much. Mariana, thank you for your help in arranging Ligia's schedule. She's leaving tomorrow back to Brazil. So,
Yeah.
Ligia, thank you also for prioritizing this before you travel. I wish you both the best on this new endeavor, empowering other companies. And thank you so much for sharing your wisdom today as well. Really appreciate it.
It was a pleasure and an honor.
thank you.